man in Illinois was arrested by authorities after he was posting images on social media of himself desecrating the American flag. Now, he did this on July 3rd, and he was trying to make a point about how he does not feel proud to be an American. There he is, bright and mellow. And on the post, he wrote the following. In this moment, being proud of my country is to ignore the atrocities committed against people of color, people living in poverty, people who identify as women, and against my own queer community on a daily. Now, people complained about this immediately. In fact, they called the police to let them know that someone was burning the American flag on social media. Now, many might not know this, even though the Supreme Court ruled that burning the flag or doing anything bad to the flag is protected under the Constitution, under free speech, Illinois decided that they would outlaw desecrating the American flag. But it doesn't matter. The Supreme Court's ruling sets the precedent, and you can't arrest people for burning the flag. Now, according to the police, the volume of responses and specificity of threat against his place of employment, a location where an act of violence would likely cause harm to others, prompted police involvement in this case. They said they believed his posts were putting his safety at risk as well as the safety of others.
Okay, so a couple of things about the story. Number one, the police reaction to me is amazing, but I suppose I shouldn't be amazed by it. So people are threatening to do damage to him, to attack him, to kill him because of him burning the flag. The police don't investigate the people threatening to kill him. They investigate him.
I know, it's amazing. It's amazing.
And they say, hey, stop doing that, even though that is your constitutional right. Can we get the same reaction on guns? If somebody said, hey, it is your constitutional right to bring that gun or that assault rifle to work or to a movie theater, but a lot of people are worried, could you stop doing that? The right wing would be like, how dare you, jackbooted thugs of the cops. In this case, the people are like, we're going to murder you. And the cops are like, that's totally fine. Hey, you, stop exercising your constitutional rights to speech with burning the flag. Otherwise, we'll arrest you.
Just think about that for a second, though. Can you please stop practicing your constitutional rights because it's upsetting other people? And so you're inciting that. You know, you're making people send you death threats, and it's your fault.
Yeah, but if you've got a gun everywhere, not your fault. That's not a danger.
Yeah.
But if you exercise your freedom of speech, that's a danger, and you need to be stopped. Okay, now, on the substance of what he said, I don't agree with him. So now, do I agree that our foreign policy has been at times disastrous, counterproductive, and at times deeply immoral? Of course I agree with that. And so that's not a thing like that's the idiots on the right wing will say, oh, America hater. No. As I'm about to explain, I love America. But if you love something, you got to be honest about it. It doesn't help to be like, no, America has never done a coup against a foreign leader. Well, that isn't true, right? No, the Iraq War was a brilliant idea. I think ISIS is swell. Well, that's not true. That doesn't help America. It doesn't help America to get better if you keep lying about what the reality is. So why do I love America and why would I not burn the flag like this? Okay, here we go.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to disagree with you. Go ahead.
Okay. Look, I know that the people in power for a long time have been using the American flag as a punchline, and they've been using it for marketing purposes. Meanwhile, they go to Latin America, for example, and they take as much natural resources as they possibly can. The oil, even the bananas. I keep harping on that because they'll kill you over a bunch of bananas. Like, I got to make an extra nickel on a banana, so I will murder your elected leaders, your democratically elected leaders, and I'll crush your country and make sure I get your natural resources.
What are you going to do? People like potassium.
Right. And I'll do it under the guise of America, and I'll wrap myself in the American flag while I'm doing it. But as they were doing that marketing, you know what happened? The idea of America, first of all, it was not born of that. So you got to understand that. What was America originally? The Founding Fathers said over and over, watch out for corporations, watch out for the banks, watch out for even the government getting too much power. The moneyed interests and the government will try to seize power. Don't let them do it. Remember, the founding fathers were revolutionaries.
Right, yeah.
Okay?
But they have seized power, okay? And the idea of America is a great idea, but that idea is not being carried out right now at all. And also keep in mind that he identifies as someone who's part of the queer community. 49 people were just brutally shot and killed at a nightclub, a gay nightclub, and absolutely nothing came out of it in terms of a solution or a way of preventing it from happening in the future. That's just one example. We're also dealing with two candidates that are both fucking disastrous. One of them I consider to be a criminal based on the FBI's evidence of what she did with her emails. And then the other one is just a lunatic, right? So look, we have the financial industry that's running amok, right? We have Americans that are not engaged in the political process, have no fucking idea what's going on. Yeah, I'm not proud of where our country is right now. Am I proud of the idea of America? Sure. Do I wish that we lived in that country right now? Absolutely. We're not there. We have deviated so far from that I totally understand where he's coming from. I'm not saying you should be burning the flag, okay? I'm not an advocate for that, but I understand his frustration.
No, but Anna, we largely agree. I totally understand his frustration, and I know we're not there yet. But what I'm telling you is that I am not willing to surrender the flag. I'm not willing to surrender that idea. So that's not their flag, that's our flag. That's not a corporate flag, it's not a corporate logo. That is the flag of the people of the United States. And most of the people don't know that we did coups for corporate power. They don't know that the CIA was largely run by multinational corporations, and they have no idea the degree of foreign leaders we executed or did coups against. How many real Americans know that we did a coup against the democratically elected leader of Iran? And that's part of the reason why Iran hates us now, because they said, America, we like your idea, we're going to do democracy. They do democracy, they elect the guy, and then he says, oh, well, that's the oil of Iran. I don't think I should sell it at dirt cheap prices to the UK and the US. And we're like, you're goner. You violated the most important rule, which is violating the bottom line of our corporations. We don't actually give a damn about democracy. So I understand all that. But they made a mistake. They unleashed hope into the world. In the beginning, it wasn't a mistake. It was their intent, the founding fathers. Later, when those corporate interests captured our government, they made the mistake of using it as a gimmick, as a marketing tool. Well, that mistake is the fact that that hope is still in the world. And I don't want to extinguish that hope. I want to give power to that hope. So that is not their flag. That is our flag. We will reclaim that flag. And the idea of America is a great idea and one we will actually get to. But in order to do that, we've got to fight. And we've got to protect that flag, not burn that flag. So if you're going to go after corporate logos, if you've got a specific corporation that has done the wrong thing, then I'm on your side. But if you want to go after the American idea, don't do that, because the American idea is the right idea. We've just got to actually get to it.